right, welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great day. I sure am. Today I'm going to be playing a bit more Legacy, and I'm going to pick up a deck that, just like the last video, was a deck that I did well with about one year ago. Maybe it's like 1 year and a couple of months, or it's like around a year. I can't really remember, but I used this deck to qualify for a Legacy Showcase. I can't remember. Maybe I split the finals. I'm actually pretty sure I split the finals of that one, qualified for the Legacy Showcase. Got smoked in the actual qualifier, but yeah, this deck was basically a port from Modern, and was kind of like a meme in the beginning, but I quickly figured out that it was very, very explosive, very resilient, and it packed just enough disruption to actually handle the format and the unfair decks as a whole. So I'm basically revisiting this deck to try and find out if it still holds its ground today. 1 year is a lot in Magic, so let's see about that. So what's this deck about? This deck is about this beautiful sorcery, Crashing Footfalls, with Suspend 4. If we have it in our opener, we can suspend it and maybe craft a game plan around it, but the main plan is to cascade into it using either Shardless Agent or Violent Outburst. 3 mana, basically. This is 3 mana instant, make 2 4/4s. This is 3 mana sorcery, make 10 power. Pretty good cards, pretty good rate on those creatures. To back up that kind of aggro plan, we need some disruption. I play 8 forces. Seems pretty darn sweet to me. I have 4 copies of Fire Ice. Sometimes Fire Ice is like a Time Walk on turn 2. Sometimes it kills a couple of small creatures. Sometimes it taps your opponent out of counter magic or other interaction. Just like a solid card, pitches to various cards, mainly the forces. We have a couple of Minsk and Boo and a couple of Endurance as like extra, let's call it, win conditions. Endurance is also some nice graveyard hit against the format. 3 Brazen Borrowers, which, sure, they can attack in a pinch. They're mainly there to make sure we have enough blue cards and deal with various problematic permanents we might face. I remember back when I played it, I didn't have access to a Surveil land, and I did not play Wastelands. I think Wasteland is a very, very good innovation on the deck. I can't remember who came up with it, but someone in the meantime thought adding Wasteland to this deck was a good idea, and I agree. We have a robust set of duels here. 2 drops, 2 Volcanics, 1 Taiga. The 1 Taiga is good, so let's say I'm able to fetch out 3 times, and cards like Blood Moon aren't on the calendar, then I can have like 1 Taiga, 1 drop, 1 Volcanic, and be waste-proof to at least getting color screwed. Lauren Reveal is another addition that's very huge when you play a deck with, it's like fixing pitches to Force of Will. In scrappy games, you can even draw 3 cards. Like, that's just cool. 7 fetches and a couple of basics in non-Blood Moon colors. Let's just put it that way. The sideboard has some interesting ones. Endurance for more like Graveyard or Lightning Bolt-based decks. Magus of the Moon against, greedy decks, Ursa Saga, etc. Force of Vigor against some of the newer artifact decks. We have Pyrokinesis against the Weenace. It's going to be MVP against Goblins. And then we have a couple of Disputes for any blue deck. And then the last one here, I love this card. Like, this artwork is also amazing. Inevitable Betrayal. So we can basically swap our Suspend card in matchups where the opponent has fatties, like, I don't know, Reanimator, Sneak and Show, stuff like that. So you basically turn all your Cascade cards into 3 mana Atraxa, 3 mana Archon, 3 mana Gristlebrand, 3 mana Emrakul, stuff like that. Let's see if that comes up. I remember I won some games with that card back in the day. We play 2 copies because the fail rate of drawing 1 is like, I would compare it to Thassa's Oracle in Doomsday. It's like, ideally you don't draw it, but if you do, it's nice to pitch it to force and not, worry about it. So, yeah, I enjoy that card quite a bit. All right, let's make that the end of the deck tech and jump into some games. Thanks for watching so far. All right, here we are for round 1. I guess I kind of skipped over that during the deck tech, the fact that the Spirit Guide can really accelerate out this game plan. Yeah, let's see if that's the case this time around. We do have a lot of them. This hand is a keep because maybe Endurance is insane, and I'm just 1 blue mana off from, cascading into Crashing Footfalls. In the meantime, I have a Wasteland to keep my opponent busy, so with combination of being on the draw as well, like, there's a lot of factors that make this hand into a keep. Obviously, this can just crumble against a strategy that, let's say, doesn't care about Endurance, can force the crashing footfalls once I draw the blue source. But I think that's a chance you should be willing to make if you're playing if you're playing this deck. Mountain. Basic Mountain can be good news, can be bad news. Means my opponent most likely does not have much interaction for me. Oh, this is tough. It also means they're fading the Wasteland, and it also means they're very unlikely to care about the Endurance. Let me put it that way. We might just get smoked here, and our 2023 deck can get smoked by the 2024 deck. Welcome to modern times. Oh, okay. Freya's Apprentice. That's a cool one. So maybe we're up against some kind of Painter deck. I think I'm in trouble unless I find the blue source here. Okay. So we didn't exactly find the blue source. So question is it better to play out the is it better to discard or play out the Endurance? So let's say I play out the Endurance. I go triple guide Endurance. Maybe I'm okay discarding. I'll discard a Simian Spirit Guide here and ambush the Freya's Apprentice when my opponent attacks. But it's definitely not a good situation. Then I have two. So funnily enough, then I have 2 Spirit Guides left, which is enough once I draw a land. Then I go land, guide, Shardless Agent, and then I'm really out of gas. If it's actually some kind of Painter deck, there is a chance that Endurance can interact with Goblin Engineer, but I think this is how you play. Oh, this is so bad. If this was just Violent Outburst, I would be very happy, but can't say it is. All right, so shuffling my opponent's Ancient Tomb, not very important, I would guess. So there is something to be said about Galvanic Blast being a card, but I don't think it makes sense to overthink the situation. I think blocking there is what I have to do to stay relevant. This card can also provide value later. So let's say my Endurance does get killed by Galvanic Blast. It's just what it is. So yeah, this is kind of funny. Taiga alongside basic Forest. The only mana-producing lands, color-producing lands that wouldn't cast this agent. It is kind of funny. So now Lauren Reveal is also a draw. There's Bombardier. Lauren Reveal, tap Taiga to get Lauren Revealed. Double Spirit Guide, Shardless. So now I'm not winning the race anymore. Staying back doesn't help a lot because of the Bombardier's Menace. So I'm going to trade 3 damage for 1 damage here. Could be a mistake. I'm not entirely sure about that. Minsk and Boo is another fun draw. It is the card that would swing the race. Now, any mana source is good, even Wasteland. Or the 4th Elvish Spirit Guide, I guess. Violent Outburst is also a good draw. It is actually funny, like, I don't think... it's just funny. Let's just leave it at that. Sometimes you draw what you need, sometimes you don't. This hand was risky to begin with. And then over the course of this many turns, so you can say, whoa, you got lucky, unlucky rather, that you didn't find it. Yeah, but I'm also lucky that I'm not just dead, right? So it's a matter of how you slice it. Let's see, should I just go Basic Island? Maybe that's fine. Basic Island. Spirit Guide, Shardless. Play Footfalls, attack for 3. any reasonable draw out of a, reasonable legacy deck would have put me away by now. So am I lucky for being alive, or am I unlucky to not, get the right draws? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Pyroblast on the Shardless Agent. That is very acceptable. I now have 2 blockers for the Bombardier. I'm attacking for lethal trample. My opponent will need to kill me with... let's see, what about something like a Fury? Yeah. No, Fury wouldn't kill me, because I can double block the Bombardier. What if the opponent goes Pitch Fury, kill 1 Rhino, attack with 2, that's down to 5, then fling this. Then I'm down to 3. So my opponent needs, like, wow. My opponent needed, like, Pitch Fury and a 3-drop. Yeah, that's pretty absurd. So this hand had a lot of potential early. Didn't fulfill the potential. Was lucky to still be alive. Sometimes that's just how it goes. So for this matchup, I don't care about the endurance. It did some good damage there, obviously. I do care about pyrokinesis for the mainly you play pyrokinesis not to kill like 4 tokens or something. It's just like a 0 mana 2 for 2, basically like Force of Vigor. That's what you're hoping to get out of that card. So let's see here. What can we do in this matchup? Maybe Force of Negation isn't that good against Painter. I can see that being a good swap for the Vigor. With Vigor coming in and Pyrokinesis, I'm not going to cut red or green cards. So I think that leaves a single copy of Raisin Borrower. I think that's just fine. So I just have my plan basically with 4 Force of Wills, 4 Vigors, couple of Pyrokinesis, Raisin for blue pitch, Fire Ice. Yeah. I mean, I don't have that much interaction, but even just having like either Force of Will or Force of Vigor alongside some fast Rhinos, I think that can win the game some amount of the time. Yeah, this hand is not perfect. The cool thing about it is, I talk about this from time to time, when, like, Magic is an emotional game, right? So we just had a game where my opponent saw me draw a billion Spirit Guides. So in their mind, my deck is capable of going turn 1 Rhinos. So that demands some stuff from my opponent's opener. So maybe, like, let's just say they have a hand that's a, it's a keep, but it's on the, let's say, bottom end of the range. That can make the opponent mulligan. Like, you can win some percentage points. That being said, Thorn is very annoying. Force of Willing Dad is a good play. I can just pitch 1 more Force, leave the flexibility here. I don't think I'm going to Force of Will 3 times this game, so I think it's okay to do that. The opponent might be thinking about Spirit Guide Pyroblast here. So let's see. Lorne Reveal is a decent draw because of like a pitch to Force. Trying to think. I would guess my opponent's deck is a Saga deck, but I can't really rule out that it's a Blood Moon deck. Just Urza Saga, which goes and gets Grindstone, I just think that's pretty normal. The Welder is annoying because of my Force of Vigor plan. Is it annoying enough that I want to counter it? Doesn't feel good because I want to draw. Yeah, I'm not gonna let that. I'm not gonna force. I want to draw a Cascade card. Interservant. Yeah. I get it. So this is kind of sad because now Force of Vigor and Force of Will are both kind of, not the best. But Force of Willing and Goblin Willer is just so bad. Let's go get a Hedge Mace. Fire Ice. Okay, I like that. So I'll take that, draw it, and kill the Welder. I think that's how you play. Pyrokinesis would have been perfect here. Volcanic Island, Fire, 1/1. So now, I think Force of Will pitching Brazen Borrower is reasonable. Lauren Reveal is my third source. And I'm basically looking for a Cascade card. Now I'm looking for any green card as well. Bombardier. Yeah, that card is annoying. I'm gonna counter it. And I hope to draw a green card because then I can kill Painter Servant and Saga before the opponent gets to, you know, do their thing. It's tough to deal with these cards with pitch spells. Like, you'll run out of gas for sure. Lauren Revealed. Not exactly what I needed, but it does help me get to Heartcast Saga. A Heartcast Vigor, rather. Okay. Not ideal, but playable. I get to fire off a Vigor before my opponent gets to search for Grindstone, which is cool. Mountain I don't care about. I might care about my opponent's last card in hand, but I don't have many options here. No attack from the opponent. Great heads-up play. They're not supposed to, you know, jeopardize the painter when I've shown the ability to instant speed and produce creatures. So let's see. I think it's fine to just go Volcanic. What can we draw? Draw nothing. So here, let's pass the turn and then kill maybe Painter and the Saga itself. I think I like that. Let my opponent have the 1/1, and now it's Cascade card time. My opponent's 2 pieces away from comboing. So hopefully, I have to just beat the aggro plan, and that's it. Here's another Painter. Now only 1 card off from winning. Construct grows a little bit here. Last card is... I don't like this. There's a Needle naming, I would guess, Minskenboo, but not sure. Minskenboo got named. I'm getting attacked for 3. And it's almost Rhino time. Like, I think I have 2 draw steps, realistically. I don't have anything smart here, so I'll just play a land in case, you know, I draw, like, Lauren Revealed, and I need to go... What do I know? Spirit Guide, Brazen Borrower or something. Or Petty Theft, I guess. Opponent does not want to send the Painter. I respect that. They do send the Painter, mainly because the math here is... I'm at 12, so 3 times 4 could be a thing. Opponent passed the turn there. Kind of smells like Pyroblast, in my opinion. Force of Vigor is not a bad draw. That should buy me a lot of time. So even though I have 2 Minskenboos in my deck, I still feel like I should kill the 2 creatures. Actually, I should have played out my land as well. The thing is, keeping the land in hand is... Oh, here's Fury, I guess. It kind of keeps my opponent guessing a little bit, but then once we're approaching crunch time, the value of holding a card isn't very big. Just imagine I draw the Lauren Reveal now into, let's see, like, Land, Spirit Guide, Cascade, right? Then it's like, oh, it's too late because I didn't play my land the turn before. So if there's a reason to play the land that you can come up with, I think you should play the land. If not, then the information is cool. Looks like we're running out of time here. The opponent got to Heartcast Fury and Ursa Saga. In the meantime, I've drawn some more lands and a Force of Will that's too late to the party. Here's a random Opal getting played out. And there's the Wasteland. So we go to game 3. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit too much of, I don't even want to say playing control, but you know what I mean, like, too much interaction, right? I need to sprinkle in a Boo or a Cascader, then we have a perfect mix, I would say. All right, let's run it back and see if we can do it. Fast Rhinos with some kind of interaction, that's like the dream. This is slow Rhinos with some kind of interaction. Guess we take it. We can fetch a Taigab. Taigab coupled with basic island is, you know, a decent rainbow of mana, I would call it. Opponent on a mold of 6. Yeah, this deck has huge potential. Like, it's not insane to go, like, turn 2, Cascade with Force of Will backup, or even, like, turn 1. I think once I've had the turn 0, like, triple Spirit Guide, Violent Outburst, getting to attack turn 1 is kind of cool. The opponent's on a mold of 5. I have some interaction, so I feel pretty safe that I'm not just gonna die out of nowhere. But who knows? I'm even covered against Urza's Saga. The footfalls will be counting down. There's a pedal. Please invest a pedal. Okay, so this is not bad for me. I can Force Will this Fable and Wasteland my opponent's Ancient Tomb. And then I'm hopefully buying a lot of time. Tropical the draw. So I have 3 lands. So lands are bad draws, but other than that, I have some decent draws. Any red card that pairs with Pyrokinesis is good. How do I play this? I think I tap my opponent's land here. Let's ice the mountain, see what happens. Draw another. It's not a horrible draw. Welder is a cool one. How do I play against the Welder? Next turn I'm getting Crashing Footfalls. I'm gonna pass here. I'm not gonna tap. I'm gonna keep the Fire Ice for potential pitch. I think there's a world where I might need, yeah, like this scenario. Pretty cool. So the kind of the sad thing about this is my opponent gets a free pedal from this interaction, I think. No reason to do it now. Let's play Crashing Footfalls. Resolved. Another Pyrokinesis. So now I can actually go fire the Welder and my opponent's life total and hold up Pyrokinesis. Maybe I just kill the painter right away, actually, because if I let my opponent untap, painter's named blue, Pyrokinesis is now blue. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to do this and then say you have to come up with another set of the combo before you're dead. Also, I'm stranding any Pyroblast you may have in your hand now, because with Painter in play, Pyroblast is a 1 mana counter, whatever, 1 mana, terminate, vindicate, whatever you want to call it. So the Soul Cauldron, I don't think that card is... Okay, so my opponent's down to 0 cards now. I have a Rhino, so I'm in decent shape, but my opponent has a combo piece here. This card combos with... Can't remember the name. Maybe Phyrexian Devourer, I think that's the name. Let's see if we can draw something. Yeah, that's a good one. So now I can attack for 5, make 2 more Rhinos. And funnily enough, 5 plus 12 next turn is exactly 17. So my opponent needs a godlike draw here. Is Goblin Engineer lethal? Goblin Engineer off the top might be lethal. Goblin Engineer searches up the Devourer, then you use the Soul Cauldron to put ++1/+1 counter on it. Yeah, I think that would have been lethal. Yeah, this game was pretty cool, right? I had let's see, I forced once, I wastelanded, I pyrokinesis, and I fire iced. I even iced, like, that's just a lot of disruption while the rhinos kind of kept coming. So yeah, that's basically what you want to do with this deck. Ask tough questions and have some good answers in the hand. All right, that was match 1 against Painter. Let's keep it up. Okay, round 2. We're on the play with our beautiful Teamer Rhinos deck. This is a turn 2 Violent Outburst, so this is a keep. In the meantime, what can I do? I can pass with a fetch, find a Surveil land, and then hope I'm not playing against Dace or Force of Will. I can, if the circumstances demand it, slow down and play the Fire Ice game. Not too confident in that, though, so let's hope this works. So generally, investing Spirit Guides is like investing, sacrifice a Black Lotus in Vintage, or imprint to a Chrome Mox, or sacrifice a Petal, or cast Dark Ritual in Legacy, right? So whatever's at the end of that rainbow doesn't really matter if it's Cascade into Crashing Footfalls, or it's Beseech the Mirror, or Ad Nauseam, whatever it is at the end of that rainbow. You want that to actually resolve, otherwise that's just the blueprint on how to beat those decks. If you can stop what's at the end of the rainbow, then you can make my deck closer to, Teamer Charbelcher, right? I remember calling it that back in the day when I played this deck, but in reality, it's just one thing this deck can do. And as I talked about before with proactive stuff, if you respect it a lot, you might give the deck time to set up. If you don't respect it enough, you just might die out of nowhere. And both of those scenarios are good for the home team. So let's see. Okay, this looks like some newer artifact strategy. Not sure how we can counter that. I think we just go for our plan. Best draw in the world would be Force of Will or Force of Negation. So we can Violent Outburst into Crashing Footfalls on the opponent's turn and protect it. And if they don't have any interaction, we can use that force to not die to their plan. So this is another matchup where the Force of Vigorous and sideboard are going to be awesome. We can go for Hedge Maze because we have Red Spirit Guide in hand and we have Violent Outburst. There's a land. This is kind of the decision we were talking about. So let's see. Yeah, I might need to take that land, even though it's not the best situation. The reason for that is, let's say this doesn't work. Then I'm in a position where I need to draw a new piece of action, and the lands from there are kind of a bad draw. But if I don't keep this land, I need to find a land eventually, and my action spell. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. That's just the nature of having the explosive stuff. So here, I'm gonna let this happen. So in a perfect world, okay, Frogmite, I'm not too scared about. Let's see. My opponent does not have Metalcraft right now. Is there any way this deck is playing, like, Rebuke? I think I'm gonna respond here. Because right now, my opponent cannot cast a Rebuke. My opponent needs Force Pitch to interact. And I'm actually not even sure that deck runs Force within the main deck. Kind of impressive if you can fit that. I don't think that's the case. Let's try and Cascade here and respond, see what happens. This might be a genius move. Here's a Crashing Footfalls. So the cool thing is, oh, my opponent does play Force of Will. Okay, that's tough. That's very tough. Force pitch Thought Monitor. So the good thing is I have Wasteland for my opponent's Saga, and I can kill the Frogmite. I think I'm supposed to do that. And if I still think my opponent's playing Rebuke, probably think about how I'm timing it. There's the Force Negation, obviously. So let's Wasteland there. Pass the turn, and then on my opponent's upkeep, I fire the Frogmite. You're fired. That also turns off the Opal, which is kind of cool. So we're both kind of in the same boat. We're both decks that, I don't want to say glass cannon, but we play some questionable cards that are like cogs in a bigger machine, right? Here's another Spell Bomb, which is a mana source, but I can't do anything about that. Let's see what the opponent does with the Opal. Nothing. Pass. Okay. So again, Rebuke is on the table. Lane would not be a bad draw. Wouldn't hate that. Then I can kind of start the beatdowns. Okay. Agent. Agent, I mean, Agent is a good draw because it's way easier to find a land than it is to find it's way easier to find a land than it is to find an action spell, so I like that. I'm gonna cantrip here. Hopefully make my opponent not do anything this turn, who knows? Here's another bauble, so now one bauble is or Spell Bomb, I guess you can cycle. The cool thing about Spell Bomb, from my opponent's point of view, is it's taking care of like half a Rhino card, like half a Crashing Footfalls. I like my spot here, but it can obviously go poorly pretty fast. Let's Island Cycle, play out a Trop. It's like, what do I do here against a non-Wasteland deck? I go for a Trop because I play one Endurance, right? I expect my opponent to cycle one of the cards, unless... okay, I see. Okay, so my opponent probably has Thought Monitor in hand with 4 artifacts, 2 mana sources, 5 artifacts. No, that wasn't the case. Here's a Synthesizer. Opponent's down to 1 card. Pretty easy counter. Let's pitch a Brazen Borrower. And yeah, now we play out some Rhinos. My opponent can handle one of the Rhinos. Bad draw is bad. Let's play Agent. That 4th land, I guess, can cast a Minskin Boo if we draw it. Here's some Rhinos. So I actually think with a deck like this, we're just supposed to thin. Like, just go fetch a Volcanic Island and move on. We don't have any fancy... No Brainstorms, no cards with Revolts, no... whatever. No need for that, so I think I just shuffle on my upkeep. Let's see how many... I think my opponent can cycle 1 Bauble here. I don't think that would be crazy. The reason is we kind of know the opponent wants to Spell Bomb one of the Rhinos. So that's -1 artifact. Then it's -2 artifacts. Then they still have Citadel, Opal, and Bauble left for Metalcraft in that case. They decide for 0. That can be a million reasons for that, right? Let's say they determine that some of their outs is drawing Thought Monitors and chaining some stuff, then it's obviously a bad draw. So Synthesizer hits the field here. Let's see if my opponent has a Frogmite in hand. That would be kind of disastrous for me. Well, maybe not, actually. I guess this Brazen is actually kind of good. The opponent's on the Scry 2 here. 1 top. I don't like it. My opponent with no untapped mana, so they are going to take the full amount here. We can just fetch an end step. Doesn't matter here. Let's go to 17 and draw a card. So I get in for 10 this turn no matter what, which is pretty cool. Maybe I should have gone to Taiga there. Let's draw. So land isn't a great draw, but it makes it so that I can Petty Theft and cast a 3/1 flyer on the same turn. So now I have to think, getting in for 10, if I bounce my opponent's synthesizer on their upkeep, then it's kind of too late for the baubles to matter. And I think if I steal 3 more mana from my opponent, they're dead. So them not cracking any baubles end of turn, what does that tell me right now? What if I bounce the synthesizer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts. Two, 3, 4, 5. The opponent plays it again. I think it's good. I think it's good to bounce here. Could be wrong. It's not an easy play. Because I think if my opponent plays 3 mana for that card, I'm winning. I'm like tempoing out my opponent here. Because I also have the mana to play the 3/1 flyer. I think this is good. I like this play, I think. Definitely some math coming into play here. My opponent's at 9. Let's say, what do they keep here? They keep the 7 mana 4/4, like Mirren Force's Big Brother. They keep Thought Monitor on top. I don't know if they might keep Frogomite or like Nettle Cyst. I should have studied this deck harder. I just, scrolled through the results, so I didn't even know it had Force Will in the main deck. I thought it was Force Will in the sideboard, so. Very curious here. My opponent still has Ether Spellbomb for one of the Rhinos. So far, so good. But that I still have 9 damage if that's the case. So that's where, Thought Monitor, etc. comes into play. Thought Monitor is pretty awesome. Drawing 2 cards, trading with a Brazen. There's the Thought Monitor. So at least our read was decent. We can go get Taiga, play Brazen in response. It's just like playing around. I mean, this is open information. I have 0 cards in hand. I have 3 mana available. I have Brazen in exile. So, I mean, I'm going to do this turn no matter what. So might as well do it in response here because the opponent could draw Force of Will, Force of Will, Force of Will, random card. And I turn those into blanks. Compared to waiting. So there can be reason for waiting, but with open information, me being out of cards, etc. doesn't work. So, okay. So, funnily enough, okay, so this is a lot to unpack. So, we get rebuked here. So, I mean, yes, the opponent had rebuke in their deck, but they didn't rebuke anything up until this point, so it was kind of off my radar here. The reason why I didn't go Brazen, the synthesizer, Petty Theft that, play Brazen Bar on my turn when my opponent was tapped out, was because I didn't want my opponent to, crack baubles, and then the delayed trigger. I wanted them to kind of commit to keeping these cards. But the fact that they scryed 1 to the top, and that could be Thought Monitor, and Thought Monitor would really hate if they started sacking baubles. That might have been the reason for me to do it on my turn. This card kind of snuck in there. Very, very cool. So now we're in a situation where the opponent will survive. If they draw land here, it's going to be very good for them. They draw Frogmite, which is decent, I guess. But no land, it looks like. Okay, I might be losing this game. Let's see, I have 10. So if they just trade off like Frogmite for Agent, they survive at 1. And I might get smoked. Let's see. I draw Force of Negation, which is not a bad draw. This game just got interesting. Ah, my opponent can double block a Rhino here. Okay. Go to 3. So the cool thing is I have still 2 copies of Fire Ice left in my deck. That might come in handy. The Spell Bomb right now takes care of the Rhino. Then I get to hit my opponent to 1 if I'm lucky, I guess. Any Frogmite will stop that plan. Any Sojourner's Companion or whatever it's called will stop that. Here's Automaton. Ooh. So let's see. My opponent has Synthesizer and 1 more card in hand. Really don't hope it's a 0. Now my opponent can trade off the Agent, bounce the Rhino, stabilize at 3, which is out of Fire Ice range. This is great game. Like, really, really great game. A lot of stuff going on here. The opponent is up on cards. There's Shardless Agent. Insane draw from me. So let's let the opponent commit to like the Spell Bomb and the blocking. Rhino to hand. 2/2 coming in. Opponent blocks. So now my opponent can go Synthesizer, and then I guess my play... I'm hoping my opponent can only make 1 token, I guess. But I don't like the draw go here. The draw go is a possibility if I'm certain my opponent can make 2 creatures. In that case, it would be better to wait until I have 6 mana, but... Wow. Force of Will, pitch Synthesizer. Opponent goes to 2. I have a 2/2, which is very important. The opponent's at 2. They just pitched their gas spell. So now my opponent needs a blocker. What a game. This is just everything you're dreaming of when you're making content. Like, we have plenty of blowouts in either directions. This was awesome. This came down to the wire. And the life total was so important. Okay. So we snuck that game against the artifact deck. So I definitely want Force of Vigors. Do I want? Like, Brazen Borrower is decent tempo play, I would say. Wasteland's a necessity against Sagas. Spirit Guys is something you can look at. Cutting Fire Ice isn't the best either. There's also something to be said about you can easily trim negation, like trim negation, trim Fire Ice. I don't think that's insane or anything. And maybe trim 1 guide. I can see that. I trim this Spirit Guide because it doesn't pitch to Vigor. Okay, let's try this. I could have considered Mystical Dispute as well. Maybe I should. Yeah, maybe I just do like this. Because Mystical Dispute also answers Synthesizer, so I think that card is decent. It answers, like, if the game goes a bit longer, it answers... Yeah, it's also good against, like, Thought Monitor on the stack and stuff. Yeah, that card should have been in from the get-go. Force Negation isn't all that. I mean, I don't think Fire Ice is that great either, but I think it's decent. Decent card. Alright, let's see. It's going to be hard to top that game 1 like, when it comes to this matchup, I think. I think there's going to be a lot of blowouts in either direction. Like, that deck just going, Synthesizer, Frogmite, Thought Monitor, counter my stuff. Or my deck going, like, Fast Rhinos, Vigor, some permanents, leave them with, I don't know, Moxel, Planet Bauble, or whatever. So I think, yeah, that game was probably the best we're going to see against that deck in a while. Me trying to tempo out the opponent, them trying to stabilize, turning the corner. He snuck a few forces in there. I was able to play my tempo game against the synthesizer. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, let's see. Let's see what game 2 will bring us. So far, it's been kind of fun playing this deck again. It's just, it's so hard being across from the deck. Are you supposed to worry about turn 1 rhinos? Are you supposed to worry about, you know, a bunch of free disruption? How do you sequence against Force of Vigor? How do I check if they have Force of Will? Can I play around Violent Outburst being an instant? All of that stuff. Okay, so another hand that doesn't do anything right now, but has huge potential. If I draw blue land, I go Rhinos with Force backup. In the meantime, I can Wasteland. I like this. It's also cool when you have these kind of slow hands that you don't die to as a Saga. That used to be the case with this deck, I remember. But I think Lauren Revealed really changed like how you can play like just basically just add 4 Wastelands to your deck because you removed some lands and added Lauren Revealed. Okay, this is awesome. Turn 1 Metalcraft. Love that, love that. Turn 1 Thoughtcast. I'm actually going to Force a Will that Thoughtcast. I think some of the critical mass stuff in that deck is quite terrifying. Could be wrong. Let's see. The critical mass of just kind of stopping my opponent here, buying turns proactively, basically investing in the future here. So it's not like Thoughtcast itself is insane, but it's kind of what it can lead to, rather. Let's see. If my opponent has Force Blue card in hand, I'm gonna be very sad. Looks like we have one of those games again. Also, the Darksteel Citadel wasn't even like Seat of the Synod, so that would have been way better for me if that was the case, because then I could actually keep my opponent down, like take them off Metalcraft, etc. So last match, the speculative hand with Wasteland got met by Basic Mountain. This time is Indestructible Land, so yeah, kind of a funny theme. Also, it looks like we did manage to stop our opponent in their tracks, but it looks like we're also following that theme of drawing more uncastables. But thankfully we have time, partially due to the Force Will and the Thoughtcast. It is possible here my opponent has versus Saga Sandbagged in hand. I hope that's the case, obviously. But it's way more likely my opponent has some kind of interaction and I need to plow through 2 Cascaders to get there. Which this hand is capable of. As I said before, it's easier to find, lands to cast your spells than it is to find the gas, so having the gas is not that bad. But yeah, this is kind of a funny game. My opponent can't cast anything. I can't cast anything. Blinks first, etc. Okay. My opponent blinked first, cracking a bauble there. It's like one of the hardest things when I tried to play like 8-cast or whatever in the past, like when to crack your bauble when you play affinity cards and Metalcraft cards. So now I just play Teamer. Here's Automaton. Funnily enough, another Indestructible Land. So yeah, nice Wastelands. And it's time. Okay. I don't think we can spend too many more draw steps not finding the land. Also, especially because I think the first one's getting dealt with. And my double Wasteland just looks silly here. Here's Synthesizer. I can't do anything about that, which is also extremely sad. No Vigor, even. This would be a great Force of Vigor. Kill Patchwork and Synthesizer, pay for Ward, untap, go about my business. But yeah, not this time. So now chances are my opponent can even beat Rhino straight up. One scry to the top. Attack for 2. And what's the draw step? If it isn't a land, then Force of Vigor would be acceptable. Lauren revealed, obviously, but that's like a land at this point. Minsk and Boo. Interesting. So I guess we go for that. Minsk and Boo resolved. So I probably stay back. Yeah, I feel like I should stay back here. And let's see. I really don't hope it's a Thought Monitor. I hope it's just like a Frogmite or something. Then I have a shot. I really want to send that hamster at, I was about to say at my opponent. I haven't decided that yet, but mainly just drawing the cards from it. I think with having, it's basically like playing, what do I know, like some kind of blue-black strategy and you resolve a Traxa, then it's like, oh, you draw into Grief and Force of Will and stuff. Kind of the same here, where I'm interested in a land, of course, but I'm also interested in some interaction like Force of Vigor. So drawing the 4 cards can contain like multiple categories of cards I'm interested in. Here's Opal, that's fine. So probably on a good day, I trade with the Automaton. On a bad day, oh, is this Kappa Cannoneer? That's awesome. Oh, Kappa Cannoneer. Kappa Cannoneer, you dirty boy. Yeah, not that good. Not that good. So my opponent gets a 7/7. I have to trade off the Patchwork. Kappa Cannoneer. Once that card hits play, the damage is kind of done. Use Minsk and Boo's ability, yes please. And I draw Crashing Footfalls. Okay, opponent. Can we do anything about this? We can sacrifice the hamster to deal 1. Hope to draw into the land, I guess. I draw the land. Tropical. Charla's Agent. Crashing Footfalls. So fun interaction here that I forgot to mention is you can put 3 counters on a Rhino because it has Trample, which is not irrelevant at all. The dream here is my opponent has like, I don't know, double Force of Will in hand or something. Can't play any artifacts, then maybe can't attack with Cannoneer, and I can just chump block the construct. Let's see. This is kind of a terrible situation because all artifacts are good for the opponent. Synthesizer, making Cannoneer unblockable, creating another construct. Yeah, okay. You got me, opponent. Let's go to the 3rd game. So learning about Cannoneer was cool. Fire Eyes really looks not that good. Yeah, we can do the swap. Go to back to the 8 guides. I think that's okay. Okay, let's draw a little better. We can win. We can beat this deck. We have, we have vigors. We have a big clock, a fast clock. We have some wastelands. Wasteland was just terrible in that game. Indestructible bridges, indestructible citadel, and basic island. It was a nightmare. Okay, this hand is fine. This hand has turn 3 with a backup. Worth noting is I can't go for the Surveil land because then I don't have red mana. My opponent there's a Saga I can Wasteland. My opponent does not. I can maybe, I don't know, Time Walk my way. But if I do that, then I might have to pitch Agent. That could be okay. My opponent's on a mold of 6. Doesn't necessarily mean too much, but it's always a small advantage to have, of course. Spirit Guide would be a bestial draw. It's oftentimes either the best card in your deck or the worst card. You have to be ready for that kind of variance. Also, we've seen games where I've drawn like 5 Spirit Guides and couldn't find a land for my life. So, a lot of roller coaster rides with this deck, I would say. Indestructible land. I don't want to fetch. Could draw something that changes which land I want to get. I like that draw because it's like a good force pitch. Then I can keep both of my Cascaders, and I can ice my opponent without any concerns. The only concern would be, no, I think it's good. I think it's good. The only concern would be not doing it and then doing it on end step, but I think this is fine. Nice. I draw Vigor, which is also a good card. So if my opponent develops some stuff that I can actually kill with Vigor, I can kind of counterspell check them end of turn. Now I have Vigor pitch, Force of Will pitch, and still a Cascade card. That's pretty darn strong. And then I have a Wasteland to kind of fall back on, I would say. I think this is my time to strike. Kill Opal, kill Saga. And the card to do it with is Violent Outburst. So try and force my opponent to not play Magic here, which is also a way to win the game. Okay. Opponent is floating a blue here. Let's see if there's a good bait from the opponent. Cool thing is I still have Force of Will backup, and it's kind of unlikely my opponent has double counter. It's possible for sure, but I like my odds. A card like Flusterstorm would completely crush me. That's something I can worry too much about here, to be honest. Let's play the Wasteland. Cascade into Crashing Footfalls. Hopefully just counter a Force of Will and be done with it. Flusterstorm would be so bad news here. Okay, no Flusterstorm. I have a Force of Will. My opponent did not have a Force of Will. I mean, if they did, I would imagine they used it. So, like my spot. Now I'm attacking in chunks of 10. Versus Saga. I have another Wasteland, like a champ. And here comes the Thoughtcast. Yeah, I think this is where if I stop my opponent in their tracks here, it's over. Because they invested a pedal. Saga's getting wasted. 10 damage coming in. This could be over for the opponent. Definitely my window to strike here. Hanging on to the revealed in case I draw Force of Negation or Force of Will. I guess I don't draw Force of Negation with me having Bring it in my sideboard. Let's find a maze. Make my land drop. Don't want to draw Spirit Guide. Attack for 10. And yeah, my opponent really, really needs some good stuff here. Maybe, I don't know, Engineered Explosives would be horrible. Okay, the opponent didn't have anything. Yeah, this game was quite awesome for me. I got to make a good timed Force of Vigor, no resistance on the Crashing Footfalls. Once my opponent invested into Thoughtcast, it was my time to put the game away. Even with the Wasteland in the back pocket, like Wasteland tapping for mana to cast my win condition, then killing the Saga. That's my opponent's way back into the game. Textbook Rhinos here. Really cool showcase of the deck so far. Let's see if we can keep winning. Alrighty, round 3 with the Team of Rhinos deck. And I'm noticing a theme here. All I need to do is draw land and I'm golden. This is a bit more iffy because I'm on the play, but I'm still going to keep this hand. Suspend Crashing Footfalls turn 1. If I can spike the land on turn 2, that would be insane. But obviously I'm not a favorite to do so. But I think it's good enough to keep. Up against an unknown opponent. Or, well, the opponent's deck is unknown to me. Let me put it that way. Verdant Catacombs. So what are we guessing on here? I was about to say something like, not that, but that also, that's also can be a nasty deck. You kind of need speed against that deck, in my experience. I can already tell that if I don't find the land next draw step, I already don't like my position. Wow, awesome. Rashad Port, I haven't seen that in a while, but that card is brutal right now. Really, really good against my draw here, because now not even a land helps me. I love it. There's a Wasteland. Okay. Interesting. So I'm gonna Wasteland the Port now. I could have considered not like waiting, but I think I need to run a little bit of risk here. Maze of Ith. So now my opponent can make a couple of Maze of Iths and stop the Rhinos. This is a nightmare. This is a nightmare. Can we do it? We couldn't do it. I don't know if Force of Will is good. I guess my opponent needs to play Crop Rotation for Force of Will to be good. Like, I know they play Crop Rotation, but actually cast the card. Okay, here we go. So, Force of Will it's better than losing the game. The opponent sacrificed Maze of It there. So that might be my window. My opponent didn't draw anything. Maybe, just maybe, we can find a window here. A land. Yeah, Force of Will, very bad when I don't have the blue card. But if now actually a blue card is good, right? But maybe this is just the opponent having one more crop. Nope. They makes it so that the Thespian stage can't be wastelanded in the meantime. Just a solid play. Knackle is, funnily enough, quite strong here. But yeah, I mean, what can we do? We can play Crashing Footfalls. We can draw land like a boss. That works when it comes to maybe I just go Island and pay for those boys. I think I like that. It works when it comes to paying for Rhinos. I don't want to get wasted here. My plan changed a bit. Let's see. I think this gives me the best chance to win the game. Is this a loam? I think my opponent stabilizes here because of Maze of Ith and Thespian Stage. So I pay for Rhino, pay for the other. I get in for a little bit of damage. Nice Wasteland. So what I can do here is, yeah, I think I'm supposed to. I don't think the Wasteland will do. There's something about Minsk and Boo here in this game, I feel like. Minsk and Boo, let's see. Sacrifice a creature, then deals damage. So what happens here if I Wasteland my opponent's maze in response to the opponent copying? It just doesn't do anything. Then the opponent can dredge loam, because I don't have the blue card to follow up with. That's the problem. If I had a blue card for Force Will, I could make some tempo play like kill my opponent's Maze of Ith in response. Opponent dredges loam, I force. Now it looks like I can cheat in 8 damage. Port Yavimaya Wasteland, sure. Does that help? Cheat in 8 damage. Unclear. I needed a Lance Master here to help me out, I think. Cradle, sure. Port, sure. So my opponent's kind of forcing the issue on this Wasteland anyway, I feel like. So I think I'm supposed to just kill Maze of Ith. My opponent can copy it with Thespian Stage. But it is a tapped, copy, so I don't know. This game's too hard, I think. Because my plan is not very, how to say, my plan is very short-sighted. Like, I can see, okay, this is a way to force in 8 damage, but where do I go from there? I can't see that. Maybe the answer was drawing a blue card there to force the loam. Then I could force in 3 more damage, and then Minsk and Boo was my win condition at the end of that rainbow. Let's say I get my opponent to 3, then things are looking up. Right now, actually, if I say, pay for 1 Rhino, draw red source, play Minsk and Boo, put a counter on 1 Rhino. Yeah, maybe that's how I win this game. The Boots is a cool card. Blast Zone cannot touch 0 drops, worth noting. Here's second Maze of Ith. Here's Blast Zone. The thing is, I'm getting ported on the land I don't pay with. So I can't boo no matter what. Double Maze of Ith. I don't think I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to let these guys die. I think so. So hard. I draw the land. Now I can... Wait. Why didn't my opponent port me? Okay. I don't know if this works. Wait, now I look silly because my opponent didn't port me. Minsk and Boo. That's a turn. Maybe the opponent's doing something with Blast Zone here. Like they want flexibility. They go up to 4 and kill the Boo. Is that possible? How much mana is that? It's like 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I mean, okay. Tough game. Maybe my opponent knew this all along. Opponent goes to 4 in the Blast Zone. That'll leave the Lonely Boo, which is not going to do anything against the Mazavith. And now my opponent kind of has the combo going here. Okay. Great game. That was too hard for me for sure. I think the opponent knew what was going on there. And it wasn't me. So I want my Magus in this matchup. And I think I want Vigors as well. My opponent has Sagas. My opponent has Mox Diamonds, and then possibly some like Spheres or whatever. Maybe Negations aren't the best. Endurance could be decent, but also maybe not what the game is about. Okay, let's try this. I think we need a fast threat to beat lands reliably. And, okay, I guess I know who this guy is then. Yeah, so, and that includes Violent Outburst, Shardless Agent, Magus of the Moon, Minsk and Boo. I don't think the draw go game is quite gonna cut it here. So I think my expectations for my opening hand is going to be a bit higher. Than, like, let's say in the dark or against a known opponent. Yeah, revisiting this deck is super cool. I remember that tournament I did well. It was like 9 rounds. And, like, in order to emerge victorious after, like, 12 rounds of Magic, it's, you need to be lucky, right? So I definitely was on the day. And it's just, like, the different ways you win, like, the scrappy games, the fast games, etc. Like, this hand, for instance, I think is definitely worth talking about. What am I beating with this hand? Out of lands. Slow Saga hand? Maybe. Lone Wasteland? I don't think so. Also, just like having multiple is just not that valuable against the deck. I'm gonna mulligan here. It's kind of sad to mulligan, but I think it has to be done. Okay. So this hand is really not the best. I have Vigor Green card, which is cool. And I have lands. I'm gonna keep this and get rid of Revealed. Feels bad. But it's like the first hand, except I don't have the gas at the end of the rainbow. So I need to trust my draw step on that, I would say. I do get a little bit of selection here with the mace. When I was also on a Molda 6. Also, if I find the Cascader, this Spirit Guide goes from, green fodder to Accelerant. Let's see. There's some... Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we need to Vigor turn 1. Let's see what's going on here. When it goes for basic forest, Mox Diamond. If this is a sphere, I don't really mind. Okay, that's cool. So now I can go fetch some land. Let's see. Do I overpower my opponent with duels? Or do I go for, let's say, basic island, then basic forest? I think I should go for duels here, so which would that be? I guess Volcanic is a good shout. Force Vigor costs 1. Kill those. Skate card is the dream. Ooh. Tough call, but I am going to suspend here. Kind of give my opponent a chance to, loan back some stuff. Yeah, drawing the footfalls there might have been a trap. Who knows? And there's the agent. Okay, that's at least a great draw. Now I can go Taiga. I know what I talked about in the beginning there, where if I have the ability to fetch 3 times, then sitting on a rainbow of duels is cool. It makes me... I can't just get wastelanded out of one color, right? Also, against a deck with Ensnaring Bridge, the basics can sometimes be like, let's say I have like Island, Forest, Volcanic Island in play. My opponent starts, tapping down the forest or whatever. Then I can actually get messed up, even though I was a bit better against Wasteland, then I'm going to be worse against Port. So let's see. We know about the Maze of It. There's a boot. That boot might kill me later, I guess. Let's see what I have on top of my deck before committing what to do with this Fire Ice. I want that. So I'm just going to get in for 6. I'm going to keep the flexibility of the Fire Ice because it can tap a Maze of It later. Oh! I think the opponent took too much damage there. With the Maze. Okay, my opponent's down to 8 here. Could be costly. Let's see. Definitely I wasn't supposed to get my opponent to 8 there. So now that the... Okay, let's do some counting here. Okay. My opponent goes for it. Yeah, now I kind of look like a genius. But I guess the context is my opponent forgot Maze of It. So let's ice the Lage and get in for exactly 6 because my opponent forgot the Maze. That will take us to game 3. My opponent had a very fast, hasty boy there. Card is so good. So the thing about Force Negation is it's good against Loam. The thing about Fire Ice is it's good against Mace of Ith and Merit Lage, right? Minsk and Boo. Are you a good magic card? Do I need you to win the game? Or is Magus? I think once I go Magus, I have enough threats to play like this. I do lose some green cards to pitch to Vigor. I'm willing to accept that. Maybe this Fire Ice. Maybe that Fire Ice is replaceable. Ugh. Yeah, this is This is one more of those hands where I kind of have to dig deep and ask myself, how do I want to lose today? Do I want to lose because I kept a serviceable hand and just got outclassed? Or do I want to lose because I pressed the mulligan button too much? My opponent's on a mull to 6 here. So what do I have covered? I can play well against Wastelands with my fetches, my basics, maybe. I can bridge the gap from 2 to 3 with Fire Ice. If my opponent presents like some Sphere Diamond draw again, I can Shardless Agent. And I have Merit Lage covered with Brazen. I talked myself into keeping here. I'm confident in that decision, but it's very good to, when you play a deck like this, where let's say 9 out of 10 games are pretty straightforward, then once you get to this, I would call it like a game-defining decision, whether to mulligan or keep this hand. It's good to like take a pause and take your time, I don't get any extra points for, finishing with a clock above 0. I definitely don't do that. I think that the chess clock aspect of Magic Online is highly underrated. I know some players are very, very strong at utilizing a lot of time. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily strong at it, but I definitely want to work on it. Let's see which land goes away here. It's so funny. I'm hoping for my opponent to have Sphere Resistance. If my opponent just discards whatever goes Life from the Loam, I'm a sad guy. Ooh, this is Sphere. Okay, so my Force of Vigor is going to be good here. And I draw another green card. Can't be better. Huh. So now it's time to think about... We have a good scenario, but how to make the most of it. If I kill Mox and Sphere on my opponent's upkeep, it's like mana neutral. Let's say my opponent's hand is Port or another stage, then you just go play land, play Loam, which I would be kind of sad about. There's also the surprise factor of letting my opponent play their turn, not knowing they're going to get blown up at the end of it. Also, if my opponent goes versus Saga, maybe I'm not too scared about that, actually. Tough call. Let's see, which lane am I even getting? I think I'm getting Forest. Very tough. I'm gonna do it on upkeep. I think it's better to get rid of a green source than it is to like hiding the info, like I talked about. But who knows? If my opponent just goes, "Oh, fetch Life from the Loam here," I look like a jerk. There's Passaggio, but no Loam. Okay. Lore and Reveal doesn't do a whole lot right now. I feel like I should tap my opponent's green mana here on upkeep with Fire Ice. I can find a what's it called? I can find Basic Island here to stay, good against Wasteland. I'm not good against Port though, that would be brutal if I get ported here, but it is what it is. I don't think my opponent's playing that many ports, but if they draw it off the top, it's very bad for me. There's a Wasteland. I look like a G. So I can just play out that land I just drew. That's fine. Let's cascade into the Rhinos. I don't care about Wasteland. I have 20/20 covered with Brazen. 2-turn clock in play. I'm asking all the right questions here. Let's see if my opponent can come up with the answer. My opponent doesn't have that much counterplay here. Everything is like trying to stem the bleeding. They might have a crop rotation for good options. Mazavith, Knackle. Here's a Reclaimer. The Reclaimer is a 1/2. The Wasteland does not help unless my opponent decides to Wasteland themselves. Here's a Knackle. Okay. And I do get wasted. Okay. So I lose my agent here. Pay, yes, pay. Can't pay for you, buddy. There's Violent Outburst. Let's attack for 8. Do I suspend this? I think I do, yes. Is that a mistake? Is additional rhinos ever going to be relevant? It's a lot of turns down the line. How does my opponent deal with these? Maybe I don't. Maybe that was a bad play. Because I need to like beat that Tabernacle. But I have a Cascade card in hand. But the thing is, I'm never gonna pay for my rhinos and cascading. That's not gonna be relevant. Tough. Okay, let's go Mace. Not suspend. See what's going on top. That was not a good play by me. I can get rid of the revealed. Pass. My opponent can't do anything. I take the turn. They have to pay for the Reclaimer. Or, you know, get it out of there right away. They're paying. I don't have any interaction. I can pay for my rhinos and keep attacking, which is obviously quite awesome. Here's Ursa's Saga. Now my opponent can make the Reclaimer a 3/4, which doesn't exactly help against my 4/4s. I like my spot here. I think it's very tough for the opponent. Pay for the Rhino. Do it again. Draw another Lauren revealed. It's kind of decent I'm making my land drops here. I feel like my opponent's gonna... Oh, yeah, let's see what's going on here. Okay. Get rid of that. There's some situation here where I, next turn, need to hold up Grayson. Let's cycle. Go Trop, I guess. Suspend. Kind of reduce my hand as much as I can to... It's basically like... If I could, I wanted like Lauren Reveal and Violent Outburst to be gone because I want my opponent to go all in, right? So I want them to basically think about less things because I have fewer cards, right? So my opponent makes the 20/20 now, so yeah, to play around Wasteland, which is definitely the correct play. I draw Force and Negation, which is kind of funny. I can't use it here, so let's see. Does anything make sense here aside from just like land cycling first is the same? So I'll just try and petty theft for the win here, see if the rhinos can get there. It looks like it. And the GG's is in. Ooh, okay. Rhinos definitely showing some good results here. Let's see if we can keep it up. That's 3-0 for anybody keeping count. All right, round 4, 3-0 with the Rhinos deck. Pretty. I was about to say pretty smooth sailing, but that would be that would be a huge lie. We barely got there. 3 matches in a row. This hand is cool. We can hopefully turbo out some stuff here. Huh. Yeah, it's always like when my opponent plays blue, bad stuff can always happen. The question is, do I want to get wasted? Or do I want to kind of bridge? Maybe the answer is I want to bridge. So basic forest, suspend crashing footfalls turn 1. We give up our deck. Do we even get stifled? That's the biggest punishment for not exposing ourselves to wasteland. Could also be the opponent's playing around stifle. That's what I'm trying to tell myself. So this is what I sometimes talk about with Magic. Sometimes you can let's say know too much, right? So let's say I just go, I'll save these fetches for later. Tropical suspend. I'm better off in this situation. But yeah, that's how it is sometimes. Also, maybe a simple Google search could show my opponent's playing Stifles. Who knows? The other thing is, Stifle is good against my deck regardless, so maybe it's not the end of the world. My opponent missed a second land drop. I don't know if it was intentionally or not, though. They still keep... So, when my opponent is missing land drop out of a Tundra deck, I'm thinking they have a bunch of forces, so I'm not really in a hurry. I do want to ask a tough question, though. Here's a negation, so I guess we go on the opponent's turn. Okay, so pass, upkeep, violent outburst. Into rhinos. I'm willing to force a force with my negation. If I get spell pierced, I'm very sad. Right. Get dazed. That's brutal. So let's force the daze. No, what am I doing? I lost track of this game. I'm a jerk. Okay. A good player would have simply pitched the Spirit Guide and laughed in the opponent's face. But I chose to force the daze. I don't deserve that my opponent goes force your force here. I deserve my opponent goes force the footfalls. That's embarrassing. Yeah, I can't recommend throwing away a force. That's really not a good play. Here's a ponder. So now I feel like we have to remember the Crashing Footfalls is ticking down from exile, and because I'm a bad player, I still have the Spirit Guide in hand to play one more 3-1 out, right? So let's see. There's a land. Now I'm hoping my opponent found second daze, which is extremely funny. I think I play around my opponent having like land Stoneforge. Wasteland I'm not too scared about. And I hope to get wasted. Okay, now I just play my Brazen end of turn. Nah, this is too funny. Could have had a negation in hand. Would have probably forced the plow. And we have a different game. But that's okay. I'm not, I'm not too worried about, like, how I do. I want to minimize those mistakes, of course. And at the end of the day, that will affect how I do. But it's not like whether I 3-2 or 4-1 a league that's gonna bother me at all. I just want to play. I just want to play correctly, right? Okay, so we do get forced. Next turn, maybe negation is a good draw. Next turn, we will present another set of rhinos. My opponent's at 10. Huh. So I guess my opponent's on Dreadnought. Pitching Uro. So Bant. I'm actually gonna dress down. No, I'm not. I'm gonna force a negation this dress down. I think that's a reasonable play. My opponent has another daze that I can pay for. And I don't deserve that, but that is how it goes. Let's see if the opponent has Stifle 12-12 here. They don't. So that means they're going to be taking 4 more damage, and they need the force for the rhinos coming. Opponent shuffles. Yeah, this game was a mess. Sorry about that. I try and pride myself on quality gameplay. Okay, so cycle, play hedge maze. So in theory, my opponent could have double stifled, double dreadnought, but they don't, and we're up a game. I think I like these 6. Also, I think Magus is just game over against the deck. Can't remember. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it is. Don't want endurance. Raisin seems good to bounce a 12-12 in case bad things happen. We can cut negations. We can cut a couple of spirit guides. Maybe only run 3 vigors. Maybe that's just fine. I think this is decent. I'm not convinced I need the boo, but it could be respectable. Okay, so Stifle Not. The thing about Stifle is, if I don't get my land stifled, my skate triggers will get stifled. So there's something to be said about how bad it is. Like, sometimes you can even bait, like, get stifled in your land, stuff like that. I didn't do that game, that's for sure. My opponent had a strange hand. No Force of Will, but missed their second land drop. But I guess with, let me count, Plow, Daze, maybe a cantrip. Yeah, I think it's just a keep. You'll buy enough time on average to get into the game. So funnily enough, I think Force of Vigor can interact favorably with Dress Down in different situations. Let's see if that comes up. But I think when I played the deck, and I played Bant Stifle Lot on the channel, the list I found had 0 basics, which does make Magus of the Moon game over. I'm at least willing to test that out. So what do we have here? You know this hand, right? No, but yeah, we have Force of Will. We have 2 mana sources. And we have a Cascade card. So let's keep this hand and draw the land. Stifle is a hard counter right now. Unclear if I even wasteland in this spot. Very unclear. I don't think I do. Then I can't play Magic. Grayson was obviously a terrible draw. Here's another terrible draw. Yeah, cleanup is a tough place to be here. I discard the Fire Ice because it's not because I think double Brazen is good. It's because when I pitch, like when I discard the Brazen, my opponent's going to think about the second Brazen. I don't care about them thinking about the second Fire Ice. Okay. I'm so sad. I don't think I've been very lucky with those hands, but it's also kind of pointless to talk about that when I'm 3-0 and up a game, right? I guess I lost my my right to complain. Excuse me. So it's not going to be long until I pack in the cards. In general, I don't think it's like very good, entertainment to keep playing. Maybe I should have discarded Outburst here. I didn't practice enough, like what to do on the third time I go to cleanup in a match. I don't have enough experience. My opponent also goes to cleanup. This is kind of funny. So I expect to get stifled here. Do I force over that? That's the question. Force pitch agent. Then I get dazed. Then I pay for the daze. Okay, force good. Okay. And now my tapped wasteland gets wasted. Everything is bad. I'm a sad guy. But I have game 3. Game 3, I can feel I go turn 1 Magus of the Moon. The end step dress down. Very good with Uro and Dreadnought. Yeah, what do I see in my crystal ball? The turn 1 Magus with Force of Will backup. Okay. Nice Spirit Guide. The dynamic is here, the opponent knows that I can explode with Spirit Guides. Huh, that's funny. That is funny. Magus of the Moon. Ponder. The thing is, my opponent's missing land drops, which means they have mono spells in hand. And those spells are, not possible for me to beat. Okay, I've seen enough. Let's try again. I think I want the Spirit Guides because I want to like punish my opponent on the play. I can easily trim a Vigor in doing so. Maybe I can even trim a Boo. All right, let's go. Let's force our opponent to play mono red. I don't think they're ready for that. Magus. Or at least just, present the Skater like turn 2 or turn 3 with a backup. I'm not asking for like turn 1 Rhinos with Force of Will backup or anything. Only the Magus with Force of Will backup. No, but really, I just want to, put up a fight. Let's put up a fight. Have a good one. So let me put it like this. If I win, I play number 5. If I don't win, we wrap up the video. So maximum motivation to do it. What do we have here? Almost all of the stuff we need. So I can suspend turn 1. Force a little bit. Yeah, this is one of those hands where if my opponent just on turn 5 just has a stifle for the footfalls, this hand doesn't do anything. So I need to draw some of the cards. I need to draw Cascader or the Magus. How do we play this? Basic? Then I use the lore reveal to get the other basic. So I kind of play around Wasteland, play around my own Magus at the same time. I think that's okay. The dream is just drawing the Magus. The dream is dead. Let's try to go revealed. See if we can get a stifle out of the opponent. Here's a stifle. I'll exile a spirit guide. Not the most exotic play in the world. To revealed once more. Go basic island pass. Still looking for Magus. Is this where I go mace? Okay, I'll try. I'll try and be a big boy here, but it's so tough. Fire, ice. Let's just put that to the yard. Like, the point of that card is to, get one card deeper into my deck. There's no reason to pay 2 mana for that. If I can just speed up that process. Yeah, here's the instant punishment for going for the maze over basic island. Here's tropical. I should have considered slow rolling that. I was a bit too fast there. Unclear what's the best move. Maybe playing it out is better. I'm not entirely sure. Here's a brainstorm. Crashing footfalls at 2 in my exile. So, at the very least, I can present Crashing Footfalls with a Force of Will backup. Problem is that deck is capable of handling it with, like, Uro and Dreadnought and Plows, and it has counters on top, so I'm not very confident. So here's another example of how can I get stifled. My opponent's play on the end step here will say a lot about their hand. If they don't fetch, they have the stifle. If they do fetch, they either don't have the stifle or does not intend to use it on my fetch. What I could have done here was fetch on my turn to kind of incentivize my opponent to save the mana and stifle, because I want to clear the way for this footfalls, but yeah, I don't know how to play this. Like, it's so tough because I don't know enough about my opponent. Depending on how good do I think my opponent is, right? That depends. That's kind of the deciding factor on which trap I'm trying to set. But I think for this game, it was pretty clear that if the opponent has a second stifle, it's gonna be, used in a good way here. But it's kind of, which traps do you set has a lot to do with how you rate your opponent, which is not a very nice thing in general. Like, oh, I laid this trap because of this. And here comes this stifle. So I'll force pitch here, go all in. My opponent has 5 cards. Is that a veil? Oh boy. Very nice. So no footfalls for me. This will stay in exile forever. I'll pass. And it should be no problem for the opponent to finish me off here. They drop to 6. I'm at 2. One of them's a spirit guide. So also, here's the basic island, actually. So basic island made its way into the deck alongside some hydroblast, I would guess. Think I'm supposed to play a 3-1 out here. Hope I get to trade my spirit guys for days. If I just get plowed, nothing matters. This does look like hardcast days, which is good for me, I guess. But funnily enough, my opponent's keeping up green, which says they don't have plow, but they have more veil. Here's a cycled veil. I'll pay. And I think this is Magus time for me. I think this is exactly where I can draw the Magus and actually win the game. Or have a chance to do it at least. That wasn't the case. Force of Vigor, the draw for the turn. Here's a Wasteland to put me out of red. Yeah, brutal stuff. Brutal stuff. I think the Force of Will Stifle Daze deck is one of the worst matchups you can get. The deck even has like big creatures that can dominate the rhinos and white removal. So I would never expect to just destroy that deck. I think it's one of the worst pairings I can get, to be honest. Wow! That's amazing. The opponent fired off a Surgical on Brazen Borrow, and I just drew one. Oh. That's amazing. Yeah, my opponent just needs to put anything into play, and we can wrap this up. Surgical. Surgical is also cool because if you fight over the first Rhino, then you don't have to worry about anything else. Then it's like a Meddling Mage, right? So the opponent probably has a very low number of win cons in the deck after sideboard against this deck. I think their strategy is just if they can not lose, they'll be fine, which is true. Yeah, I went a bit on autopilot there. I actually don't think I'm supposed to play out that Volcanic. Just imagine I draw Magus of the Moon now. Then I could... I guess I get Wastelanded there. I would have gotten Wastelanded on the Tropical, so maybe it doesn't matter. Okay, so we easily lost here. We got dominated by the Dreadnought deck. Game 1 was strange, but I guess we just had strange games all tournament. Like, super scrappy situations. We got a bit of... we caught a bit of slack against the Painter deck, got more time than I expected. Then against the Lands deck, my opponent kind of made a misclick, so we were able to get the job done, and like just some chaotic mix of games. But yeah, this deck was awesome to revisit. I really enjoy that, just like playing decks from let's say a year or two ago, see how they hold up to the current meta, and we held our own. 3-1 is a good score, and just in general, the deck I didn't drew any like insane hands or anything. So on any given day, you'll also get some like turn 2 make rhinos, Force of Will, or turn 1 even, and then you can win even more games. So yeah, I liked it in general. I hope you liked it as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.